Okay, the official first episode of the Nicked Up Weekend with Nick Lindsay and Mr. Macon here. And so I guess the first thing we will start with is the craziness that happened this week. First of all the trades. Well, trade rumors mainly, but a couple trades happened and the draft. I'm not even going to really get into the draft yet. I'll kind of let him do that. But I think you've kind of seen me on my shows talk about how Kevin Durant has completely destroyed the NBA and the landscape. That has pretty much happened. I mean, you got a bunch of really good players who are gonna give up on their team and try to go make super teams now. That's basically what's gonna happen. If they're not already on a good team, they are gonna try to make their way onto a good team because of what Kevin Durant did. The landscape is just destroyed. I mean, I guess you could say what Kevin Durant did was basically the same thing as LeBron in a way. He also created a super team. But, yeah, Jimmy Butler leaving Chicago. I think a lot of people saw him leaving Chicago, but then going to Minnesota with two other superstars and then Ricky Rubio, if you want to say Ricky
Superstars?
Yes. Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns are going to be
superstars.
Yes, right now.
Wiggins is a superstar.
Yes. He's just not. They haven't played on a good team yet. It's just been them two and Ricky Rubio. If you want to say Ricky Rubio is a good player.
Wiggins is a superstar. Nick Lindsay, 2017.
Yes. Andrew Wiggins is a superstar.
Okay, very good.
Okay. Anyways, so can I continue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was it okay? I mean, is Ricky Rubio a superstar now too?
No, I didn't say he was a superstar. I said and Ricky Rubio. That was specifically what I said. And Ricky Rubio. Ricky Rubio's just there. He has no outside shot. And until he doesn't have it, until he creates an outside shot, he will not. Okay, anyways. So, Paul George is going to leave too. That's probably for certain now. Chris Paul opted out. Blake Griffin opted out. I would be shocked if they stayed in LA. I mean, unless they go, to the other team in LA, the Lakers. Because now the Lakers are looking like they're poised to at least build for the next couple years, even if they don't get Paul George, which getting Paul George looks like a big possibility too. So, as far as all this is concerned, I'm talking everything from the trades that were done on draft day, that happened before the draft, that led up to the draft, and the trades that are happening now, and the signings that are happening. Like Pau Gasol, I'm a Spurs fan, but Pau Gasol took less money so the Spurs can sign a big-name free agent so they can compete with the Warriors, because the Warriors have Kevin Durant on their team. I mean, so Kevin Durant has completely destroyed the landscape of the NBA. I mean, yes, gone. Like, yes.
Everyone, blow it up. Every team.
The Warriors are going to win the title for the next 3 years unless teams do this. And teams know that. There is no more rebuilds anymore.
No. But if Andrew Wiggins is a superstar, there are 70 superstars in the NBA.
No. There's not 70 superstars in the NBA.
But if Andrew Wiggins is a superstar, there are 70 better NBA players than Andrew Wiggins.
Did you watch him last year? Am I the only one who watched Andrew Wiggins last year?
Yeah, I watched him too.
Andrew Wiggins is basically Kawhi Leonard's young, but Andrew Wiggins is basically a younger Kawhi Leonard. He has almost the same ability. Are we seeing the same person here? I guess not. I guess you haven't watched.
No, I'm watching someone who has like 10% worse field goal percentage from threes and twos than Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, but Kawhi Leonard wasn't that good either as far as shooting when he came out. Andrew Wiggins has just as much potential as Kawhi Leonard does.
You're just like assuming everyone's going to turn to Kawhi Leonard.
I'm not assuming that. I'm assuming
okay.
You have to always assume that a player's going to get better after their rookie season.
Yeah, everyone's going to be as good as Kawhi Leonard. Okay, very good. Good talk. Excellent.
Everyone's going to get better from the year, especially, I mean, unless they're old, like David West old, or Pau Gasol old, or Tony Parker old, then they get worse as the years go on. I mean,
DeMarcus Cousins got better, and look at that, how that's worked out for the Pelicans and Kings.
That didn't work out great at all. I mean, it didn't work. I mean, I could have seen them being a playoff team last year if they'd have done that earlier.
Yeah, okay.
If they'd have done it earlier, but they didn't. So, I've spent, 5 minutes on this now? Something like that. Yeah, 5 minutes. Wow, I've given Kevin Durant too much of my time in this last month.
Kevin Durant. What's he ever done?
Okay. Kevin Durant took the easy way out.
He's only increased the NBA ratings by a bunch.
Finals ratings.
Finals ratings had never been better.
The season ratings.
Everyone, young people who are if you want any demographic, I don't know, any demographic in the world as soccer, if you want any demographic, you want young people. You want young people. Young people watch the NBA and they watch soccer. That's what they primarily watch.
Yeah, but
And
young
a little
people.
bit of NFL. And young people are going to grow up and keep following the NBA. And the reason why ratings are down is number one, young people are cord cutting. That number might not be the primary reason, but it is a reason. Number two, young people follow players. They don't follow teams. They follow players. So young people won't come in and watch their players, but they'll follow their players more so now than ever on
Young
social
people are
media.
wrong.
Young people. It doesn't matter if they're wrong. They're watching.
That's not how you're supposed to.
The NBA's a
That's
business.
not how you're supposed to like a sport. You're supposed to like a team. You're not supposed to like players.
Okay. Let's differentiate. To be serious, to be a little bit more serious, the NBA, it's more the culture of being a fan of the NBA, or how most people follow the NBA, especially the business model that it is now. You watch draft night, everyone's in their own nice little suits. It's all about the persona. People follow the personality more than they do the team. That's how the NBA is shifting. Which is why whenever you say NBA's Kevin Durant's killing the NBA, I think you're coming at more from a competitive integrity standpoint, which I believe is cyclical. I think is the NBA going to have less parity? Obviously, probably the next, but I think it's going to be for the next 2-3 years, maybe. I don't think because all the great players are like 27 and under.
Let me ask you this one question.
Something will happen, as it always is in sports. Something will happen that none of us can predict. Something will happen, and someone will come up and just take a hold of the NBA whenever, I don't know, Steph Curry is 33 and LeBron's finally 40,000 years old, and it will happen. We don't know what it will look like, but there's enough seeds in great young under 25. Jimmy Butler, Gordon Hayward, and Paul George are all 27. I mean,
is 26 bad teams and 4 greatest of all time teams in the NBA worth it? Because that's what we're going towards. We're going to get close to here where players are going to go, hey, you know what? I don't want to get paid as much so this guy can come to my team. Because that's what Kevin Durant's going to do. He's about to do that here in a few days so Steph Curry can get a max.
And yes, it's worth it because I mean, I urge
free agency was not made for that.
I urge the people in the audience, anyone who can name off the top of their head, like in what year in the NBA has there ever been more than 4 to 5 teams that really have a shot at the title? Ever.
Okay, well let me just throw this in there then. One of the funnest playoffs I ever saw was in, I believe it was 2007 when the Warriors beat the Mavs, and the Mavs had won 66 games that year. And you know why? Because there was parity. Because there was a couple really good players on the Warriors. The Warriors just had a bad year, and then the All-Star break, they got it together.
That's not my question. My question is...
Okay, what I'm saying is
how many times... Because you say there's about 4 to 5 super...
Yes.
You're imagining a doom and gloom scenario where there's 4 to 5 super teams.
What I'm saying is this.
And like, when has there ever been more than 4 to 5 teams that ever have a chance to win the finals?
I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about...
That's what it is, though. It's not about parity. No league's almost ever about parity.
So, do you like the fact that the first round of the NBA playoffs, or sorry, not the first round, probably the first 2 rounds for the top 2 seeds in each conference is basically going to be a formality? Because I don't like that. I like the fact of, hey, you know what? This team could possibly... No one thought Portland could beat Warriors easily. No one thought. I mean, that was probably the biggest disparity I've ever seen. And then, what was worse is it was just as big for Utah versus Golden State. And now, you can throw at me that, hey, it was a couple young teams. That's what happened with young teams. But the thing, all I'm saying is this. As a Spurs fan, I knew that there was no way we could beat them. And then things happened during the series.
That's why I said that there's going to be a couple of years where... Is it going to be the disparity going to be bigger these next couple of years? Probably, but that's why I said that originally this is cyclical. This will happen. It's like the Jordan Bulls went on a big run, and it's like no one was really complaining about that, or maybe they were. I don't remember. I was too young to recall that. But the point is that the NBA eventually was like it fixed itself. It got more competitive. There were more young people who emerged. Jordan kind of went down a little bit, and so bottom line is that this is good. It's going to fix itself because there's going to be something will happen, and I can't foresee it. No one can foresee what's really going to happen, but this is going to fix itself. Almost always does.
You think it's going to fix itself?
I mean,
here's the thing.
You
There's
can
two
say
outcomes
it's doom
here.
and gloom. Every time we say something in sports is doom and gloom, it's never as bad as we think.
There's two outcomes. There's two outcomes that could happen here. One of them being 26 or 24 to 26 teams in the NBA sell their best players away to 6 teams, and so you have 6 super teams, and so the rest 26 get better through drafting and through thank you, Chris. They get better through drafting and they get better through free agency, like lower signing free agents, stuff
Right.
like that. So that's one outcome, which I think that's what you're kind of thinking will happen, is because after all these players get older, they'll be done, and all those young players and those 26 plus teams, the parity will be back again. I can see that, but I can also see another thing happening though.
I don't even think the 26. I think what will happen was what you suggest is people will form quote unquote super teams, maybe, but I don't think again. Every year, it's about 5 teams who have a chance at the championship. That's the 5 teams max.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Name one time that wasn't the case.
2007, the Warriors could have won the whole stupid
Warriors and
thing. The Mavs
Warriors,
and
Mavs,
the Spurs
Spurs.
and
Who
the
else?
Suns and the Pistons and the Heat. The Heat could have won it that year with Shaq. There was a lot of teams that year that could win. 2005 was the same thing too. So I mean, you got all these teams that could have won all these years. And then all of a sudden you've hit this year, this season and last season, where it's like there's a huge drop. There's nothing. And so you can't tell me that hasn't affected the game.
Okay, so that might be true, but the duality of that is I would venture to guess that I don't have the stats in front of me, but I'd venture to guess that the ratings, whenever there is parity, and you can see this and the what's most telling is this happens in March Madness. Whenever we want parity because we want this, we say we want the Cinderella to win. We love the Cinderella story.
You're gonna do the cowherd ratings thing. I know.
Exactly, but it's true. It's true. The thing is, if you don't have superstars, the more parity, less superstars you have, the worse your ratings are gonna be. And I know you don't see it that way, but the ratings say that most other people say it that way.
Aren't that good whenever Cinderella's in there? It's not because the casual everyday fan isn't watching. The casual everyday fan watches when Cinderella's making it far. The reason why they're not in there, it's like if the Lakers were in the finals, let me make a better comparison here. You have the Lakers and then you have the Kings. There's a huge disparity between fan bases. That's the reason why. If the Kings are in the finals compared to the Lakers, there's still the same amount of, diehard fans that are going to watch, but there's so many casual fans that are fans of the Lakers still too. And so that's what you get. That's what you
Right, but the casual fan is what is best for business in the NBA. Ultimately, it's a business. Again, what you're saying about KD bad for the integrity of the game, short term, I can see that. I'm not going to argue against that. But this is going to fix itself. I'll say it one last time. It's going to fix itself in like 2-3 years. We'll see this happen. Whereas, in the NFL, people were like, the Seahawks dynasty. The Seahawks are going to win so much. Oh my gosh, the Seahawks and the Patriots. And all of a sudden, like a year later, it flips on its head.
The Seahawks literally had 2 seasons.
It might be a little bit longer of a time for basketball, but it will flip around.
Is this what we've come to? Where players who should be max players are not going to take max deals anymore because they want the ring? Because that's what Durant's going to do.
It's going to be for about half for maybe half of them. Maybe half of them.
That's not what this was intended for.
A lot of players are still going to want the max.
This is not how it was intended to be, though. This is not what free agency was meant for.
And even if it gets to your doom and gloom scenario, which it won't, because
what if we stay at 6 great teams, and then what if we just stay at 6 great teams for the next 20 years because everybody wants to build a super team? That's what I'm saying.
First of all, if it does happen, those six teams will cycle in and out. It's not going to be like just the Lakers, the Celtics, the Heat, or name any six teams. It's not going to be those same six
What
teams.
if money doesn't matter anymore to the players? That's
those
what I'm
will
saying.
flip around.
That will never happen.
No. I'm not. Hold on. I'm not saying that money overall. I'm saying the 4 or 5 million extra you can get by signing a max deal with someone or staying with the contender.
And let's segue off of this. Let's segue to something else off of that. I'll say this one last thing. It's like I think only 50% max of the 50% at most of the players who 50% most of players who are eligible and are good enough to play to take the max. Less than 50% of them take less. Less than 50%. Paul George is probably going to take the max. Carmelo Anthony of course Carmelo Anthony is going to take the max. Derrick Rose, if he can, will take the max.
You don't think Carmelo right now doesn't go to a contender if he can? He's already made a ton of money in his career.
He's going to
not just that an endorsement.
He's going to win the max. It's Carmelo freaking Anthony. He's of course going to win the max. That's who he is.
That's a bad example. Someone who wants a ring.
LaMarcus is going to win the max.
Yeah.
50. That's what my point is. That this idea that everyone's going to want to take less than the max is a myth. You think that because you hang around Tim, you see the examples of Tim Duncan and Dirk Nowitzki and Kevin Durant. Those are outliers.
Kobe Bryant, players who played the game right.
He wants the max. I mean, it's a myth. I mean, are you gonna have some people? Sure, but not everyone.
I mean, Kevin Durant technically went and made a super team too, so.
He did, but again, he's the exception. This Golden State, my bottom line is that this Golden State team is the exception. It'll last for 2, maybe 3 more years.
So if they win the title, so if they win the title the next 2 to 3 years, so they're gonna have basically 5 titles in 6 years. Okay, everyone's gonna try to say they're the greatest team ever assembled. I mean, I'll tell you the truth. Right now, if they win it over the next 3 years, I don't care if they sweep through the postseason. I don't care if they go 82-0 3 straight years in a row. The most impressive dynasty ever is the 2000 Lakers for me because they did it with 2 players and Rick Fox was their starting small forward.
Yeah, and that was a time when the NBA didn't have many great players though. Not as many great players. Not like they do now.
Tim Duncan, Shaq, Kobe,
okay.
Kevin Garnett, Allen Iverson.
Allen Iverson wasn't, I mean, especially not now. He wasn't that great.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so.
He's great. I mean, he's great.
Yeah,
It's not that great.
Hold on a second.
I mean, Allen Iverson.
Stephon Marbury, that's another good one.
Okay.
He had a good 3 years in there.
Yeah, he had a good 3 years being
at that
terrible,
time.
Being terrible at team basketball.
At that time,
terrible at team. I mean,
Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki, also great players in that era. I mean, there was a lot of good players in that era. Steve Nash, eventual 2-time back-to-back MVP.
I think we're gonna look back and see that there's more great players that are even better than Tim Duncan aside. I think
you can't compare eras.
Yes, yes, you can because these players are.
The players from nowadays would not be able to play like they played back then.
And the players these days would crush them. They would, because the people back then can't shoot.
If we're playing by today's rules, then yes.
Chris, is 3 a greater number than 2?
Calculating. Yes, yes it is.
Okay, very good. My case is over.
No, you don't get what I'm saying. If we're playing by today's rules, probably yeah. But wait.
The moment
did you just say they're better shooters?
The moment someone tries a hand check, the moment one person tries to hand check Steph Curry, he's gonna cross him over, pass it out, drive kick to Klay Thompson, and he's gonna be wide open, and he's gonna knock the 3 down.
I
mean, like, what do you mean? What do you mean? There's gonna be physical? They don't need to be. What do you mean?
Did you
cross him over? And the players are more athletic. The players are more athletic nowadays too, just because of nutrition, modern medicine, all that stuff.
Goodness gracious.
I mean, we're gonna have to talk about this another time.
Yeah, this is gonna have to be another. Yeah, because we're already way too far. But that's
juicy stuff, though.
Juicy stuff. Anyways, so I guess we'll get to the draft. And the first question, this is just strictly for you because I'll have my opinion after you say this.
Okay, very good.
So. You paid attention to the draft like I did. I myself think that De'Aaron Fox might be the best player in the draft besides Markelle Fultz. I just think that it's mainly his.
He might be the best player in the draft. Period. Here's something funny about the draft, and do you know how many? I forget the exact number. Sorry, didn't fact check like I should. But or maybe Chris, you can fact check this later on. Um, of the All NBA teams, how many people in the All NBA team, first, second, third, were drafted in the lottery or were drafted in like the top 10 or something like that? I think it was me. No, actually, I was thinking it was like the top 10, something
in
like
the
that.
lottery.
In the top 10, I mean.
The current All NBA team.
Current All NBA teams. How many people were drafted in the top 10? It was the top 10 or like top 15. You can, I think you can see it. You can look it up or something like that. There's an interesting stat like that.
Yeah, we can
fact
check it. Okay. I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head. I know Anthony Davis.
It's
was
right at half.
That's what well, because you got Draymond Green, you got Isaiah Thomas in there. I know that. I understand that.
The point is that one of the point is that one of these players in the second round might be the best player in the draft. Like, it's so much have to do with fit. This is such an inexact science. I mean, it's more of an exact science in the NFL draft, but a lot of these players, it's about player development. Whoever OKC drafted, if they even drafted, is screwed because they can't even player develop because Russell Westbrook's on that team and it's impossible to develop anyone with that guy in your team. But like a lot of it has to do with player development and a bunch of other different factors that we don't know take into account. Like the Spurs are so lucky that we have. Do you know not every team has a shooting coach? I didn't even know until like 2 days ago. Not every team has a shooting coach. We have a shooting coach.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that, but anyway.
Chip England that's what made Kawhi Leonard what he is.
Right, but like I
He's
thought.
saying not every team has one.
Yeah, that's what I.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I was looking up all NBA.
The bottom line is like.
It's my bad.
The bottom line is it just depends on how the player develops, fit, all that stuff. So like you could say that Justin Jackson, who was pick 15, might be the best player in the draft. I mean,
you just
he's
never
going to
know.
the Kings, but the bottom line is that this is so inexact that I mean, a lot of the players out there, you know, by and large, I don't think you can really say that any one player. I mean, aside from Lauri Markkanen to the Bulls, because God bless Bulls fans, so I feel bad for you guys.
Do not feel bad for Bulls fans.
I feel bad for whoever I want to. You don't tell me who I should feel bad for.
Do not.
You go away and
They won 6 titles in 8 years. Do not feel bad for Bulls fans. Do not cry for the Bulls fans.
Okay, you just don't have sympathy for other people. Okay,
Nope.
That's but
Anyways, the question I was gonna ask you was, who has the better NBA career, Fultz or Fox? Who do you think will have a better NBA career?
I don't know. I mean,
I think that's hard to tell. Back to the point where you say you never know who's
exactly because
that was the question I was going to ask. Though
the thing is that I mean I could do the typical sports radio. Well, if Joel Embiid is healthy and if Philadelphia comes in and if they
okay, so then I'll just cut to another question.
Blank, and then I could do the whole. I mean, I think Fultz has a better probability of being a better NBA player, but I mean if the Kings are really actually doing a culture shift, and they did a good job with getting more guys in the first round by trading up with Portland, and so with that culture shift, who knows? De'Aaron Fox could be really good, but I mean that's just way too much of a guess for me to give any reasonable prediction.
So then I'll ask you an easier. Well, it might not be an easier question, but to me it's an easier question because there's been a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure is being put on Lonzo Ball, and I think he's very talented. I'll just be up forth. He's very talented. I think he's got to work on his jump shot a little bit, or else he'll have the Kevin Martin problem. That is an actual thing.
Was the Kevin Martin problem really a problem, or did Kevin Martin just the moment Kevin Martin was actually pretty good before he started switching teams.
Yeah, he was. But I'm talking about his jumper went when he started switching teams all of a sudden. And I don't know if it has to do with his cross-body type jumper, but Lonzo Ball does the same thing, and other players, Sean Marion, all of a sudden, a cross-body type jumper. I don't know what it is, but I will say very talented, really good size. I don't know if he's going to be their point guard. I don't think he'll be their point guard.
First of all, here's a hot take.
Oh no.
It's not even. I'm not gonna get loud like you and go to become a dinosaur and royal all over the place and whip my tail around and kill all the civilians. What I'm going to do. There you go. That's. What a gift of that, Chris.
If you could see the producer, he's like.
Pretty much. Point guard. You don't need a. Okay, let me ask you this. Does Golden State have a point guard? Do they really have a point guard? Does Golden State really have a point guard?
Yes.
They don't. Steph Curry isn't a point guard. He's a shooting guard.
So if Steph Curry's not on the floor, how do they play?
Draymond Green dribbles the ball up. Kevin Durant dribbles the ball up.
Statistics show
they shoot and they shoot.
They don't play as good with Steph Curry off the floor than when they do.
Okay, but by how much? Like the point is, but that could be just because he's that's because I don't know. Steph Curry's really good at shooting the basketball. I don't think it's a function of Steph Curry's passing. I think it's a function of him shooting the basketball
I don't think so
really
either.
Well.
But sometimes being a point guard, you have to be a scorer first.
But to
when you play on a passing
team,
to your
point a little bit. Here's the Giannis issue, or not? It's not even an issue. Here's the fascinating about something like Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Bucks. All you need is a distributor. You don't need a point guard. It's actually the LeBron thing.
An athletic distributor.
You just need a distributor.
Because, I mean, we can all be like David West and pass the ball really good, but he's not athletic to save his life.
You know what I meant by distributor. Get out of here. Someone who can play a de facto point guard. The version of this, for instance, like the worst version of this that you can have as a potential starter, as a distributor, is like Kyle Anderson. He's a distributor. He can play point guard-ish. Somebody who passes the ball.
He's so slow.
But you get the points. You get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Someone who passes the ball, you distributor, rim protector, and a bunch of wings. That's why you might as well play basketball now. One distributor, 3 wings, and a rim protector. And then build your team as whatever you want to around that. It's almost like it's like in soccer now. People are playing with different formations. Instead of two guards, 2 forwards, 1 center, now people are playing like a 1-3-1 where it's like just guard, 3 forwards, 1 center. Or they'll play versions of that in certain lineups. That's how the NBA's that's what's happening in the NBA.
Yes, but one team in soccer hasn't changed the game.
But the bottom line is that's what it's shifting towards. Like in Milwaukee put out a lineup like one year or one time that was like the smallest player was like 6'5" Chris Middleton. Because Giannis is a 7-foot point guard. Ben Simmons is a 6'10" point guard.
7 foot now.
Okay, whatever.
He grew 2 inches.
You get.
God damn. He grew 2 inches.
Do you just have to kill the show like this?
I'm sorry. I'm stating facts.
Oh, you don't have to state facts by killing the show.
Anyways, Lonzo Ball. All I'm saying is this. The only question I'm asking.
He's a good distributor, and if as long
will his dad destroy his career?
No.
Do you think his dad will get either? Do you think he will separate himself from his dad,
it's the same answer as the Aaron Fox, Markelle Fultz. I don't like. How am I supposed to know what his dad's gonna do? I mean, it's.
Yeah, but Markelle Fultz dad isn't out there saying, "I'm gonna take the Lakers to the playoffs." A lot of these
prediction stuff, like we don't know. I'm not gonna pretend to know either. All I want to do is I want to analyze Lonzo as a player and just see like, I want to see what the Lakers do in terms of, okay, they have their distributor. Are they going to continue to build, like, are they going to continue to get Brandon Ingram types or Paul George, build like the way I suggest, and just throw in a bunch of wings, because that's how you win this league. You win with wings.
So speaking on your Bulls thing, real quick, and then we'll kind of...
Not chicken wings, you win with, like, wings.
Speaking on your Bulls...
It's my turn to kill the show now.
Goodness gracious. Sometimes I wonder about you. Anyways,
very good.
Actually, not sometimes. It's all the time.
Even better.
So the Bulls basically gave up Butler for nothing. That's why you're saying rip Bulls, basically. You know.
Yeah, I feel bad for Bulls fans. They also have to root for the Bears.
Both franchises, worst run franchises in sport right now, easily.
I
mean, we're talking the Bears did something that I thought the Browns would do.
Is Phil Jackson and James Dolan, are they still alive, Chris?
Oh man, see,
are they
so
still
you're
alive?
gonna throw. Here's the thing. You
Phil
can't
Jackson
throw.
and James Dolan, are they still alive?
No.
The Knicks? Are they
Last
still?
time I checked.
Okay.
Hold on. So next week, if Phil Jackson trades Kristaps to somewhere and lets Melo walk, then we can have this conversation. Oh, sorry. If he trades Kristaps for a really good player and a draft pick,
nope. It's still worse.
Nah, you gotta have some. You gotta level for level. You can't. It's okay to trade players. You can trade players like if the Spurs traded Kawhi for LeBron. Well, no,
cool.
That's still bad. Kawhi's the best player in the league. Anyways,
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a different podcast.
Kawhi right now, as far as overall value
What
goes,
part of that's a different podcast means keep talking about it?
I'm just saying. No one has more trade value than Kawhi does. Anyways, I'm looking here.
Giannis disagrees.
If Giannis had a jump shot, I would agree with you.
Trade. You just went from. He's not the Kawhi's not the best player. Doesn't have the best trade value, but he's very close in both aspects. That's all.
I'll give you that. So, moving on. Let's move back to free agency. Obviously, we kind of reiterated Durant and Curry are staying because Durant's gonna let Curry stay. Gordon Hayward. I know you've kind of spoken to me in person that you don't think he's going to affect the landscape much, even if he leaves Utah or stays Utah, or even if he goes to Boston.
Correct.
So Gordon Hayward, I don't think we're going to hammer too much on that one. I do think if he goes to if he
goes to Boston, this kind of goes to my thing with, does that open up the room for Boston to become, as you say, a super team or one of the, or I just like to say one of the 5 teams that has a chance to win a championship? Sure, it gives hope trafficking to that. It's one of those where if you're Boston, you're prepping for 2 years down the road, and that's what I mean. It's like all of a sudden people in a big media region like Boston are watching more. It's good for the NBA. And I think there's about 50-50 chance.
And all those number ones they have too. They have so many number 1 draft picks.
Yeah, for sure.
If I don't have the list here, but it's a lot. Like I was looking at it the other day, and I was like, wow. Anyways, so going to Boston, and Miami's also, but I don't see him going to Miami. I could. This sounds kind of crazy. This is just if the Spurs don't get CP3 or don't get any of the people I have a feeling they're looking for some of these players, and they are going to get rid of Aldridge. I keep getting reports like crazy they're going to get rid of Aldridge.
I have I played with the trade machine. I think they probably explored this already, but I found a trade that I'd really like for both teams. Although I don't think the team we're trading. Although I don't think the team we would trade him to would do it unless you threw in, near the negotiations we threw in Bryn Forbes or a draft pick or so. Well, how about this sounds? Eric Bledsoe and all of his muscles, and Jared Dudley for Danny Green and LaMarcus. And then if Phoenix doesn't take that, we'll throw in a Bryn Forbes and
Phoenix will win there. Easy.
Trade machine says hell no.
That is a big win for Phoenix. Okay, because
I would do that in a second. If I'm the Spurs, I do that because I think LaMarcus is going to be eventually.
But the problem
60
is this:
60 cents on the dollar.
Because LaMarcus to me has more value, I think, to me than you.
Probably, but and the reason why is I saw a quote on Twitter from someone who said that many GMs around the league are saying something along the lines of, to paraphrase, the fact that LaMarcus is wanting out of San Antonio says enough about him and how much you want to have him on your team. So that is, to me, and I'm not saying about value to me.
Stephen A. Smith reported that, though. Can you really take
No, that's not. That wasn't Stephen A. Smith.
That was his opinion.
I would have known it was Stephen A. Smith. No, that's not his opinion. That's what GMs are saying to someone who is not Stephen A. Smith.
The report came from Stephen A. Smith. And it's been reported by everyone now, but it did come from Stephen A. Smith. That's why I don't believe it as much. But I do think he wants out. I think he doesn't want out because of that. I think he wants out because he likes getting his own. He just doesn't come out and say it.
Right, but I think some GMs don't want. Bottom line is that I think bottom line is to that trade. Like I would do that trade for both teams in a heartbeat.
Well, I reported it the other day. It was being thrown around. I had a couple sources telling me this was it hadn't been confirmed. But it was within the works. I'd have to kind of pull it up, but if I wasn't mistaken, the Spurs would get Love. The Spurs would also get Bledsoe. The Cavs would get Aldridge and Green, and the Suns would get Tristan Thompson and a first rounder from the Spurs.
That works too. I mean, I think the bottom line is that just hopefully, I can say for myself as a Spurs fan, I mean, I defended LaMarcus during the postseason because, it just looked like he was kind of having a nervous breakdown, and I mean, I had empathy. I felt more empathy than just like I hate this guy. It didn't seem like he wasn't trying, but now that these reports have come out, it just is like I mean, just sell him for what you can now. But anyway, those are a couple trades as us as Spurs fans have kind of floated around, but. In terms, a lot of stuff is just buzzing. You don't know what's a smokescreen or not, too, because there's some people who are just saying they want trades just for a better.
There was also a big one that was thrown out there too. It was LaMarcus to the Cavs and Danny Green to the Cavs, and then Tristan Thompson goes to the Suns, and Tristan Thompson and a first rounder by the Spurs, and then the Spurs just get Devin Booker. That was thrown out there too.
Hot take. Devin Booker might be one of the
You're probably about to
top 20 at worst top 20 in terms of tradable. In terms of best tradable, most trade value, my bad.
Yes, most trade value, but do you really think he's the real deal or do you think he's just playing on a bad team? He is the only player on that team that's good.
The fact that I said he's top 20 trade value is all you need to know.
I know. I get he
is the real deal. Like that's what I mean. So if I didn't think he was personally top 20 in trade value.
Here's the thing. I think if he had good coaching, he has the talent. He has got the talent. He's got the skill. He can be something. What do you got?
Another rumor going around with the trading of free agency. There's a report saying the
Rockets trying to get Chris Paul.
Rockets are trying to clear.
Hold on, stop laughing, because I read this earlier. They're gonna try to trade Pat Beverly and a first rounder someone because of his money, and then they're gonna try to get Chris Paul.
If the Rockets get Chris Paul, aside from Chris Paul and James Harden, who's gonna have the ball? Like who?
James Harden and Chris Paul.
Okay, very good. Good talk.
I mean, yeah, I saw that rumor. There's also
what the... Why would you ever?
There was also, we might as well throw this out there too, which is a very high possibility still. LaMarcus going to Portland.
No, he's not going to Portland. High possibility he goes back to Portland, takes him back.
They were the ones who approached the Spurs about it. That was what I was reported as, or that's what was given to me.
I have a feeling there's like a smoke screen there. I don't believe it for a second.
But I'll just be straight honest with you.
But I don't believe that Portland will actually do that.
Buford came out and said. R.C. Buford came out and said that there's no problem with LaMarcus. His attitude is fine. Basically, the report you said earlier from Stephen A. Smith was incorrect. That's what R.C. Buford said. I'll tell you the truth. I think they threw him out there. They're trying to trade him, and I think they were basically telling him, "Hey, this is kind of you need to take a pay cut, or we're going to trade you to some crap team out there just for a draft pick."
I do think that there's a lot of lying going on. Between everyone, either to be a power play or whatever, but a kind of a big picture perspective, this is a win for the fans and then win for the NBA, because we're all talking about the NBA is slowly getting into the NFL territory, not the NFL's territory, but the NFL's model, which has made the NFL the top league in the country, of becoming a year-round sport. Where in the NFL, you're talking about the combine. Combine is what you're talking about, as opposed to opening night or March. It could have been in a March Madness.
I just completely got distracted by this.
The NBA is doing their thing where they're like, okay, no one's talking about baseball? Let's make the draft a bigger deal. Let's make free agency. Let's expand everything. Let's put this award show in there.
Like the NBA award show now.
Exactly, and that's again.
But you know what? It's all.
And that's why whenever you say Kevin Durant is killing the NBA, I want to just take this left fist and just punch you in the face. Anyway,
I'm just gonna throw this out there. I just read this. So the names on this list are the highest paid NBA players: LeBron, Mike Conley, Harden, Westbrook, DeRozan, Durant, Nowitzki, Anthony, and Lillard. You know who's number 2 or tied for second on this list also? You're going to laugh. Al Horford. How did Al Horford convince the Celtics to pay him $26 million this next year? That is just insane. How he is still on the team. That's probably the reason why they haven't gone after anybody yet. They probably don't have the payroll for it. I haven't looked at it, but I never realized that. I thought with the young team they had that they'd have enough payroll to sign, a big-name free agent.
They do have the payroll to sign a big name free agent.
Not turn into a super team though. They can sign one.
They can sign Gordon Hayward, and and also if you, this is what I was fighting. This is why I wanted to fight all the people who said that the Celtics should get Paul George, Jimmy Butler last year. You get Paul George, Jimmy Butler, Chris. If the Celtics got Paul George or Jimmy Butler and traded away, I don't know, Avery Bradley and Jay Crowder, in their number 1 pick at the time, would they have beat the Cavs? The answer is no.
Probably not.
No,
Probably
they wouldn't
not.
have.
No.
So why are you going to sacrifice your future whenever what you should do, and what I would have done, and what Danny Ainge would have done, is you wait 3 years for the Cavs and the Warriors to get old. The people in Boston are as stubborn as ever. It's not like they're going to go away from their team, and because their team's still a playoff team. The people in Boston aren't going to go away. You build and you wait for them to get old, and
it's a way of systematically tanking without tanking, is what you're saying. Because Philadelphia tanked.
Right.
They completely tanked.
Right. Systematically tanking is not a bad thing.
But now Philadelphia 76ers fans who are mad at their team a few years ago are looking at this and going, man, we got a lot of really good young pieces.
Trust the process.
Yeah. You love that guy.
Embiid?
Yeah, I love Embiid too. I think Embiid is the real deal.
I love the embracing of a bad. I love more so than anything the embracing of a bad situation.
Yeah, and I think that's where we kind of agree. I really like Embiid. I think Embiid is going to be this sounds crazy, but Embiid is going to be arguably top 3 player the next 3 or 4 years. Easy.
He can be.
Yeah, I think so. I think he is the real deal. He has got the game. If he can stay healthy.
That's not crazy.
But so I'll just throw some other names out there. You got Kyle Lowry. This list is a little bit old, but these are all players who are still free agents. I don't know how Drew Holiday on here is number 8. I don't even know how that even happened.
Because look at number 9 through the rest of the list.
So you're saying Serge Ibaka doesn't have better value than Drew Holiday?
Well, the problem is that how old is Serge Ibaka?
Serge Ibaka's, well, you don't know. He's
exactly.
Like the Dikembe Mutombo, man. That dude is probably 55. He's probably like 70
years old.
How
old is Serge Ibaka? 29. Is he really 29?
Technically, wasn't Dikembe Mutombo like,
I don't know,
like 47, 48 before he retired? I mean, no one really
Let's not go into the Dikembe Mutombo rabbit hole.
Anyways, I think the most underrated free agent right now has got to be George Hill. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I don't like the health. I don't like the health. I don't like Problem is that I don't know what his agent's gonna. What's his agent thinking? That's the problem.
Yeah. That's
because someone's gonna probably offer him max money and he's gonna take it, and that team who's gonna offer him max money is probably gonna be not a wonderfully run team.
Does Blake Griffin leave LA? Do you think he's had enough?
What's interesting is I have heard a report that
breaking news. Boom, boom, boom.
CP3 CP3 is tired of playing with one of the big men, and that big man is not Blake Griffin.
But they just he went to his house last year and helped him re-sign him.
Yeah, and people change their minds. I know you don't change your mind ever. You pick, you stay with it, but
yeah, I used to think you were an idiot.
Still do.
No, just not
anyway. But yeah, I think that I actually think that the Clippers, if anything, want to the Clippers are. I think they're both going to stay. I think Chris Paul and Blake Griffin are just kind of doing some weird negotiation tactics, and they're probably just going to both stay in Los Angeles.
I think the interest isn't nearly as much there as it was at the beginning for the Spurs as Chris Paul goes, and
yeah, again, you don't if you pass the ball the way the Spurs and Golden State do, you don't need a traditional point guard. There you go.
Yeah, but hold on though, because when the offense breaks down, Kawhi is basically the point guard. He's the equalizer.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be better? Because here's what happened: when Kawhi wasn't working, we give it to LaMarcus, and LaMarcus couldn't get it done. And you could say he had deer in the headlights. His jumper was flat. He wasn't really getting any air underneath his. He couldn't jump. There was something wrong with his knee. There had to be. It was reported that he was having tendonitis issues. I think that has to do with it. That's why I think a lot of people freaking out about him, and I kind of freaked out about him yesterday on the show, saying he was, for leaving, like he is. But anyways, what I'm saying is, I think he's still a really good big man in the league. I mean, I think he's still one of the top big men in the league.
What does that have to do with not having a point guard?
What I'm saying is this, when the offense isn't working, when the ball movement's not working, when Golden State can't move the ball well, what do? They give it to Steph Curry, and Steph Curry works his magic.
Yeah, that's why we have Kawhi.
I get that, but what happens when Steph Curry's not working, they give it to Durant. When LeBron's not working, he gives it to Kyrie. One of the two of those is going to work. If all else fails...
If all else fails, we didn't give it to Manu Ginobili, and he does crazy drive and kick Manu Ginobili things.
But what if Manu's not there? What if Manu retires?
By
the way, in your little thing, Chris, earlier, just throw this in there. Your little thing with, what was it? The Spurs don't have the cap. You said even if they get rid of Danny Green, they don't have the cap to get Chris Paul. Was that correct?
Was a report.
That was a report. They aren't counting on Ginobili retiring, though. Ginobili could retire or take a crazy pay cut because he is a free agent this year too.
Well, okay. To your question though, the thing is that we have. The interesting thing about Golden State and San Antonio is that both teams have capable enough passers everywhere so that if it gets to a nice situation, they have the capability to pass it. It's not like we have a guy, the only person that the Spurs have that can't pass is LaMarcus.
Yeah.
That's the only person where you're absolutely stuck. Even DeJounte can drive and kick. Kyle Anderson, who is more of a comp of Manu Ginobili than he is Boris Diaw, can drive and kick.
I do think that the Spurs' downfall more or less this year also had to do with they've kind of lost some shooting over the years. They aren't as adept as they were.
Right, and also I'm as mad as I was just selfishly, and I don't know if it's gonna come to fruition, but I wish they had played Bertans more minutes.
Yeah, but the problem with Bertans is right now. He's kind of a one-hit thing. He shoots threes. He's pretty agile for a big man, but he shoots threes. He's not very good defensively, and we saw that against the Warriors. He's not.
But yeah, so okay.
So that was a problem. But anyways, so going back to free agency, I think Chris Paul does stay. I do think Blake Griffin stays. Now, if your report is correct, where does that leave DeAndre Jordan? Are they just going to trade him or what?
I don't know what's happening there with DeAndre. They might trade him. Could there be something funky with the Knicks and Carmelo? I don't know. I don't know any reports about that. But I think whatever's happening with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin opting out, I don't know if it was today or yesterday they opt out. I think it might have to do with DeAndre and them basically saying hey, work something out here. I think something funky's happening over there. I don't know exactly what it is, but that's something to keep an eye on because Clippers are, they're always close, but they're not going to. So I don't know. I think it's more of like, does that get bad enough to where Chris and or Blake go somewhere else? I don't know. But.
So do you think what Powell did this year is kind of more or less just going to keep like Patty Mills and Jonathan Simmons with the team? Because Jonathan Simmons is now restricted free agent. So do you basically think they're just going to load up and try it again next year?
I don't know. It's almost New England Patriots-esque in terms of like how much, like, we don't know what's really going on. So.
All right, but I guess this is it for this week's version of the Nicked Up Weekend. Really nicked up today, so some of the stuff this guy said.
Wonderful pun.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Check out our Facebook page, subscribe to us down below, and send us a comment. Tell us what you think. Later.